Hello and welcome to I24 News Sports Daily Magazine with all the latest scores and stories from around the world. Tennis and rugby, American football and windsurfing, all that and more coming up. But we begin with football, the European version, and with the German Supercup for the third year in a row. It was Bayern Munich against Borussia Dortmund, and even though the Bavarians are the favorites to win anything these days, it was a night of celebration for Dortmund. Michael Friedman with a story.
The German Super Cup was underway with a clash between German champions Bayern Munich versus Borussia Dortmund. The two teams stepped out on the field in Dortmund's Westfalenstadion. With Bayern coming off strong in the beginning, Xherdan Shaqiri found space but couldn't get past the Dortmund goalkeeper. A dangerous back pass from Javi Martinez nearly ended up in his own net, but the talented German man at goal, Neuer, cleared the ball off his line. Dortmund continued to press their German rivals back with a shot saved by the keeper. Shortly after, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang was surrounded by the Bayern defense, but the ball fell to Henrik Mkhitaryan, who put Dortmund up 1-0. A wild kick by the Bayern defender Martinez forced him off the pitch with a knee injury, where he'll probably be out for months. As halftime approached, Neuer kept the Bavarians to enter the half 1-0. The second half showed a brilliant header by Aubameyang, bringing his side ahead 2-0 after the 62nd minute. What does he pull out from his right sock? A Spider-Man mask? The Dortmund star runs around the field showcasing his talents as it was a real-life superhero. The crowd roared in excitement to witness Dortmund being crowned the 2014 German Super Cup champions for the second year in a row. This should send a message to not only their rivals, but the rest of the Bundesliga.
Pep Guardiola naturally wanted to win the match, but he still left some big names out of the game. One of them is French Franck Ribery, who will of course have a central role with Bayern once the season begins, but he will not play anymore for the national team. The 31-year-old midfielder announced his retirement from international football, saying he now wants to focus on his family and club. Ribery played 81 times and scored 16 goals for the tricolor, and though no one ever had any doubts about his skills, he was in the center of a few controversies that always took the toll on the French team. Ribery was dismissed from the French squad to Brazil. The official reason was a back injury, but many people in France think coach Didier Deschamps was happy to leave him home. Let's cross the Atlantic now, and it's pure jubilation in Buenos Aires as San Lorenzo won the Copa Libertadores for the first time in the history. El Ciclón, as they're known, managed a 1-1 draw in the first leg in Paraguay against Nacional, and they completed the task last night at home, as Michael Friedman and Benjamin Chong Alvarez report.
With flares shot from around the Argentine stadium, the players lined up in hopes to take the coveted Copa Libertadores. After a first leg 1-1 draw between Argentina's San Lorenzo and Paraguay's Nacional Asunción, the two clubs faced off in Buenos Aires. The second leg of the Copa Libertadores opened up with a shot by Derlis Orue to the post. A corner into the box led to Ramon Coronel handling the ball inside the penalty area, making it an easy decision to call for a penalty. Nestor Ortegoza stepped up to take the penalty kick, playing the ball directly in the back of the net, giving San Lorenzo a 1-0 lead in the 36th minute. The rest of the match remained the same, and the ref blew the final whistle, giving San Lorenzo's first major international title in its 106-year history.
I've been waiting 50 years for this moment. This is a moment, a feeling greater than everything else, that we can finally be the greatest champions. This is the most amazing moment. I have been waiting for this my entire life.
The team made headlines around the world as Pope Francis acknowledged that he's an avid supporter of their club. The Vatican said that it was a special day for the Pope.
We asked everyone to help us, all the saints, they were all watching over us, to please bring us the Copa Libertadores, and they heard our prayers. So thank you so much, God. We have finally achieved this.
The players and fans jumped up and down celebrating this momentous victory and will continue the festivities as they go to the Vatican next week.
These are not the only news in South American football. There's also a new president to the CONMEBOL, the South American Football Federation. Paraguay's Juan Ángel Naput made his first public appearance in his new job in the Libertadores final. And despite the fact that the team from his native Paraguay lost, he thought it was a great tournament.
I'm going to continue to work hard at having a fantastic Copa Libertadores. We are going to build upon this great tournament, a tournament that ranks amongst the highest in the world.
Now to tennis, from the Cincinnati Open, and some big players had to leave everything in the court on the way to the third round. Roger Federer met Canada's Vasek Pospisil. The world number 3 won the first set in a tiebreak. Pospisil came back to take the second 7-5, but that was as far as he could go. The decider was rather easy for the Swiss master, who wins 7-6, 5-7, and 6-2. It was an easier task for Andy Murray. Portugal's João Sousa never really produced a real challenge. Murray is through after winning in straight sets 6-3 and 6-3. Milos Raonic is one of the most improved players this year. He is already up to number 5. He was not impressed by the local support for Robbie Ginepri. Raonic is through with an easy victory, 6-2, 6-2, and is definitely worth a close look at the US Open. When Gael Monfils is completely focused on tennis, he has the potential to go very far. This was apparently one of those moments. Monfils looks strong and sharp, putting away Spain's Roberto Bautista Agut 6-4 and 6-1. Now to the women's competition, and judging by what we're seeing from Serena Williams, the world number 1 has a lot of work ahead of the US Open. Yes, Serena won and qualified to the third round, but Australia's Sam Stosur gave Williams a real run for her money. The 2 sets ended in identical ways. Both went to a tiebreak. Serena won both 9-7, and you can see by the pain on her face how hard it really was. Serena's next rival will be Italian Flavia Pannetta. It was much easier for world number 5 Agnieszka Radwanska. She faced Japan's Kurumi Nara, who was no real challenge for the pole. Radwanska cruises to the third round, winning 6-2, 6-2. She will now face German Sabine Lisicki. Now it's time to thank the crowd. 10 years ago, Svetlana Kuznetsova produced quite a surprise by winning the US Open. Can she rise to the same heights this time as well? At least for now, it looks good. Kuznetsova is now in the third round in Cincinnati after beating Eugenie Bouchard in 3 sets, 6-4, 3-6, and 6-2. And as we reported yesterday, LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers will travel to Miami to face the Heat on Christmas Day, and the American press is all over it. The question everyone is asking is not who will win, but rather what kind of welcome should LeBron expect from the fans in South Beach. That and more in Mirav Savir's press review.
We always talk about how we as sports fans let our idols get away with anything. Well, Sports Illustrated is reporting on the NFL possibly doing the opposite and is considering implementing tougher penalties for members of the league who are involved in domestic violence cases. These penalties could include a 1-year ban for 2-time offenders, and according to people familiar with the league's conversation on the topic, first-time offenders could be banned for 4 to 6 games without pay. This discussion comes after Ravens running back Ray Rice was hit with a 2-game suspension by the NFL for allegedly striking his then-fiancée. And the move we can't stop talking about, LeBron James. It seems like just yesterday we kept talking about what it would be like during his first game back to Cleveland in a Miami jersey. Well, now the table has turned. In Bleacher Report, they're talking about how Miami fans will greet the king. And they say it's not really certain how fans will react to his return, but they say it's still safe to assume it won't be nearly as nasty as the first reception he received when he went back to Cleveland that first time. And over to the world of football. In The Guardian, German Bundesliga season will be kicking off soon, and apparently ticket prices are on the discussion table. A league executive said there would be, quote, a huge shitstorm, and those are his words, not mine, if clubs like Bayern Munich start charging as much for tickets as Premier League sides do. This statement comes as hundreds of English football fans plan to march on Premier League and Football League headquarters to protest the price they are expected to pay. And last but not least, Uruguayan striker Luis Suarez is supposed to receive the outcome of his appeal for the World Cup biting incident today. The 27-year-old left Anfield to play for Barcelona, but he's still a topic of conversation in the Premier League. On BBC, league executive Richard Scudmore says Suarez is a, quote, accident waiting to happen, and, quote, I can't say I'm sorry to see him go. And later today, we'll all know whether we'll see him go for the entirety of his suspension after FIFA handed him the longest ban in World Cup history.
The new season in the NBA is only 3 weeks in the NFL is only 3 weeks away. It will be a historic event, as for the first time an openly gay player will be part of the NFL. Michael Sam is now training with the St. Louis Rams ahead of their season opener, and as far as he's concerned, it's not the history making which he cares about. He's just happy to be there playing football.
As a child, I never thought I would be here, and it's after when I took my first snap, it's just amazing. It's a dream come true. It was awesome. Had a good time. I made some good plays, and it was a good learning experience. You know that I can play in this league. That's the most important. That I was kind of nervous. I got some nerves out today. It was a very good learning experience, and I can play in this league.
The men's rugby national team is very popular in France. The star of the team, Sébastien Chabal, has become a French icon. And when France got the honor to host the Women's World Cup, there were great expectations, but they got shattered with a surprising and disappointing loss to Canada in the semi-final. Samuel Calvo and Michael Friedman with a story.
Everything was set for the historic event. The French women's rugby team played at home at the Jeanbois Stadium. The dream was so close, but fate decided otherwise. Canada beat the home team, and France will now have to settle for the match for third place. It was a close game all along. Canada would simply not give up. They already proved how strong they are when they managed a 13-all draw with England earlier in the tournament, and they did not back up against the home team either. The Tricolor were agonizingly close to clinch the win, but Sandrine Agricole missed a crucial conversion 2 minutes from time, and that was the end of it. France loses and Canada goes through to the final. They will now face England, looking for their first title. Defeat is obviously bitter, but there is still one giant victory for French women's rugby. The interest in the sport grew dramatically during the World Cup, drawing new audiences to both in the stadiums and on TV. It may be very painful now, but this World Cup may have a very positive impact for the future.
The final was supposed to be a classic European encounter, France against England, but only one of these two powerhouses will be there. It wasn't always an easy ride, but the English team, but they are now one game away from glory.
The semi-final between Canada and France was a close affair. The other one was anything but contested. England easily put Ireland away, winning 40-7. The English were simply more powerful and better organized and took control of the game very early on. England won the title in 1994 and made it to the final in the past 3 tournaments, but lost them all to New Zealand. Motivation is therefore very high, and the good news for them is New Zealand is already out. Their surprising first-round loss to the Irish meant that they didn't even reach the semi-finals. When the English men's team won the trophy in 2003, London was ecstatic with 250,000 people parading with the champions. We will not see the same number of fans in the streets in the case of an English win, but it will still be a huge source for pride.
Not a golf into a huge setback for the American team ahead of next month's Ryder Cup against Europe and Scotland. Tiger Woods announced he will not be able to compete in the prestigious tournament due to back problems. Woods posted a statement on his website saying he has been told by his doctors and trainers he has to rest in order to allow his back muscles to heal. Woods went through surgery last March, but according to doctors, the back pains are not related to that operation. Ultra marathon has become a very popular sport in the past few years. It's basically a very long race. The next one will be of 100 miles or 160 kilometers, but this time it's also with a twist. The ultra marathon will be run on Saturday along the former route of the Berlin Wall 25 years after it fell. It takes between 16 and 30 hours for a seasoned athlete to go through the 100 miles that encircled West Berlin, equivalent to 4 consecutive marathons. More than 300 competitors from 24 countries already signed up for the event. And we'll end our show with some beautiful images from the Windsurfing Wave World Cup that was held this week in Tenerife in the Canary Islands. It was a close contest. Competitors went head-to-head for 5 straight days until a winner was finally declared. In the men's event, 2-time world champion Philippe Koster from Germany edged Frenchman Thomas Traversa to claim the top spot. The women's event was a family affair as local hero, Spanish Daida Rueno Moreno, put off the challenge by her sister Ivaja to win the title. And that's it for us today. Don't forget, you can watch us anytime on our website at i24news.tv. We're also on Facebook and on Twitter. Make sure to catch our weekend edition with the best stories we had in this magazine over the past week. Thank you for watching and have a beautiful day.